You go. Miss Heather French Henry. Oh
Ah,
my gosh. Thank you so much for coming on today. Everybody, this is the first episode of A Piece of Molly's Minds podcast. And I wasn't going to do it with just anybody. So I had to go out, right, and get Miss America to join me today. Oh my gosh.
how
Okay.
could I turn down a podcast that is a piece of Molly's mind? I mean, it's just incredible, just the subject matter. And then after having been with you in Chagrin Falls, I have just literally fallen in love with the town, with the people. I just, yeah, think the world of you and what you're doing there in Chagrin Falls. So what a pleasure to be here.
We're excited to have you. So, for those of you who may live under a rock, this literally superwoman, I could spend months researching you and still not know everything about you. But I'm going to just do a quick little introduction because we're going to dive deep into it all
Sure,
if we can.
go
Um,
for it.
so you are Heather French Henry. And you have been local, state, and national advocate for military veterans. And I love to share that part first. For over 20 years, you were the commissioner and deputy commissioner of the Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs. You were Miss America 2000. Um, and to top it all off, I mean, other than a wife, obviously, and an incredible mother, you're also a fashion designer. Head is exploding, just like my logo. That's just to name an absolute few. So we are going to get into all of it right now on the first
I love it.
episode of A Piece of Molly's Mind. So here we go. All right. So did I mess up anything on the intro? I know there's more stuff, but did I mess up anything?
Oh no, it was all perfect. I promise you. And you're right. We are two peas in a pod. We like to do, you and I both. There's just a multitude of wonderful opportunities out there, and I say yes to a lot. I've been very blessed that because of Miss America, I have been afforded a lot of different platforms that I probably wouldn't have gotten had I not won that title. But that title wasn't easy to win, so a lot of endurance and patience went into that. I competed for half a decade before winning that. And what you may not know is my very first year, I actually competed in Miss Ohio. So Ohio has a lot to come into my story.
I remember from our car. So you and I met because you and your lovely husband Steve came to the Inn of Chagrin to support one of your friends, Jeffrey, and which is going to be a guest on our podcast.
I
Spoiler alert!
heard. Yeah, that's great.
Spoiler alert! And you have such an absolute presence about you. And it's not beauty. I mean, you're breathtaking, but you just have an elegance and a class that so of course I just was attracted to you and your makeup, which we'll get into. And when you walked into the inn, you stayed with us. I was kind of preoccupied because my nephew was talking at the UN. He's in med school, and I
That's
so I was
right.
kind of checking you in and kind of say, oh my gosh, my nephew's talking like literally right
I
now.
know. I was like blown away that your
And
nephew was
you were
presenting
excited
at the
because
UN. I was like, oh my God.
yeah, because your husband is in the medical field, orthopedic surgeon,
Hmm.
yes.
Yes,
So
he's a trauma orthopedic surgeon. Yep.
yeah, so you were like sharing, well, this is exciting for me as well, and right after that, it just clicked, just clicked.
Oh,
So
well,
you grew up. We're going to talk about baby Heather. You grew up in a town that your great grandfather established in 1796. Like
yeah, we go a long way back in Augusta, Kentucky. He also founded Middletown, Kentucky, oddly enough, in the same year. That was when a lot of the land grants had been given from the Revolutionary War. And so he was bringing 40 families into the area and chartered Augusta, Kentucky and Middletown, Kentucky in 1796.
that is insane. So that's where you grew up.
I did. My childhood was in Augusta, Kentucky, and then I finished out middle and high school in Maysville, Kentucky. They're really kind of right next to each other. They're right on the Ohio River, right in the Ohio Valley. What's interesting, after I won Miss America, I was on David Letterman, and he asked where I was from. And I said, well, I have two hometowns, Augusta and Maysville. So when you go into Augusta, there are signs that say birthplace of Heather Renee French. And then there are signs in Maysville that say home of Heather Renee French. So both got a slice of the pie, but it's
Grab your
important for
name.
me. Yeah, when you're from a small town, small area, it's very important to those people that you recognize where you came from.
Uh, the sign in Chagrin Falls says, "Be careful, you may run into Molly Gebler on the street." That's what our signs say here. No, not true.
It
Not
should.
true.
It should. Yeah, it should.
So you talked a little bit about your Ohio connection, but you also have another Ohio connection, yes, because of your college.
That's right. I went to University of Cincinnati. I was in the College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning, and did my undergraduate and my master's there, which thankfully, my scholarship from winning Miss America and all of my half a decade of competing paid for. So I graduated debt free. But I
Um,
was able to teach fashion illustration there for a couple of years before becoming Miss America. At that same time, I was also an art director at the EPA, which is right near campus if you've been down to the University of Cincinnati. So I have a lot of family that is in Cincinnati. It's obviously the whole tri-state area down there where you've got Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio converging. There are a lot of people that cross over the pond to go to work, and I have lots of family and friends that still work and live in Cincinnati. So Ohio does have a very special place in my heart.
sure does, and now you can add Chagrin Falls to that.
I can, absolutely. I'm coming back there.
Oh, you better, you better. So let's get into Miss America. We're going to start there. Because I have so many questions. I have so many questions about the path.
Right? It's
Everybody
mhm.
as a little girl, not everybody, but a lot of little girls and boys want to be Miss America, right? Like it's a dream of you being 3, 4. My granddaughter's 6, and when she said that I met you, that I met you, and I showed her the ring that you let me try on, she was just floored. Did you always Was that always a dream? And then when did it turn into, this is no longer a dream, this will happen?
Really, it began when I was about 4 years old. I had grown up obviously watching. I told a young lady at a church homecoming hymn sing. My family sang Southern gospel music. And she asked what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I said, I'm going to be Miss America. Not that I want to be, I am going to be, which is a totally different mindset
Yeah.
shift. And it was I was very outspoken about that. And it wasn't that I really knew what the journey to the crown or the job of the crown really meant at that time, but I just had the confidence that this is what I want to do. Just like some people want to be a teacher, some people want to be a firefighter. I'm like, I'm going to be Miss America. Now, mind you, there had never been a Miss Kentucky ever be Miss America. We'd gotten close several times, but we had not had one. And I never really thought of impossibilities growing up, which is very interesting because I did not grow up at the top of the totem pole. I definitely was in a financially challenged family growing up. My dad is a disabled Vietnam veteran, having co-career issues with substance abuse and PTSD, which would go on to become my platform as Miss America and a
Getting
bulk of
into
my life's
that.
work,
Yep.
certainly. But I definitely we struggled a lot, but I did not let those adversities overcome me. And whether it was through Girl Scouts, it's so funny. I brought you wanted me to bring my crown out. I brought
Yeah.
my Girl Scout sash. I always keep that in my crown bag. I was a Girl Scout for 12 years.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
involved. I was involved in so much. And it drives me crazy when people talk about, oh, the typical pageant girl. I'm like, there is no typical because so many of us are involved in so many extracurricular activities, whether it's Girl Scouts, softball, tennis, you name it. I was also the kid eating mud and sucking on rocks when I was little. So just like any other regular child, but it
What
just
does that
never.
journey, what does that journey look like? What's
Mhm.
the path?
It is a very interesting journey. It's very detailed. It's a lot like a sport. So in the Miss America system, you have to win a preliminary competition like a Miss Lexington and Miss Louisville. In Ohio, I was actually Miss Pickerington, which is
Oh,
right outside of Columbus.
Columbus.
And you have to win a prelim in order to get to state. You can only win a state competition one time. Therefore, you can only compete at the Miss America level one time. But you can compete from ages 18 to now, I think it's 28. In my day, 24 was the cutoff limit, and I won in my last year of eligibility. So
Insane.
that I was sort of cutting it a little short
Yeah, but
in
all
my
things happen.
competition years. They do. Now before that, I was also involved in choir, art, band. I was a band geek. I played the violin in the orchestra, but I performed a lot with my parents. And then so becoming getting involved with Miss Kentucky and Miss America was sort of second nature to me. To be on stage, I've always felt very comfortable. But I also did like county fair pageants. I don't know if in Chagrin Falls they have little like local festival pageants or something, but I
Yeah.
grew up doing those. But it's not like it's toddlers and tiaras or anything like that. This is like local yokel. Your parents come, your grandparents come, nothing scathing, but it gave me an opportunity to be on the stage, to answer questions. One of my lines of work now is I help to prep people just like Jeff, who's there in Chagrin Falls, to do media training. So public speaking is the number one fear of most people. And so through the Miss America organization, I was able to hone my skills and really craft those skills and curate the stories that make up who Heather is. And then becoming Miss America, you're set on a national speaking platform for an entire year. And then it just changes the trajectory of your life. I never would have become the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs had it not been for the work I did for Miss America. So one begets the other. And I think those of us who've been the most successful at it have learned how to make those connections and transitions.
Well, first of all, I can't wait for your notes on my podcast after on all the things because I did do my pre-show already, and I've shared with the viewers that I jump in like I will get better. What I promised is that the guests will be the best all the time, but I will get like
But Molly,
it evolves.
authenticity is like key. So I don't want you to like change or
Yeah,
alter who
yeah,
Molly is because Molly speaking her mind is what this podcast is supposed to
that's
be
right.
about. So
I am a process.
let's stay
I am
true.
Yeah, I'm in process all the time. If I had to wait until I was perfect to be on anything, you would
Listen,
be dead.
I tell our clients, I tell friends, and it's a motto I live by that the definition of perfection is actually the lack of authenticity. And so let's not even strive for what fake perfection really is. Let's take authenticity over everything.
I am what I am, as
I
Popeye would
am what
say.
I am.
All right, so let's get into. I have been in a room of ladies. Okay, um, there are some cutthroat people out there in the lady world. Miss America backstage can't be any different. I mean, you guys are competing for one crown. You got one chance to do it. I need to know what it's like, and I'm sure that you have to keep your class about you.
Sure.
Um, but there's got to be all of that stuff going on backstage.
Really, the interesting component of Miss America that most people don't realize is that almost all the candidates, contestants, delegates, whatever you want to call us, participants within the system are all so much alike. We're all pretty career minded, goal driven young ladies who are either seeking our college education, already have been, or maybe already professionals. And there's a certain level of class that comes with that, and a certain level of classy competition, I guess, for lack of a better word. So you don't see a lot of what we call civilians would expect to see behind the scenes. Certainly in any competitive realm, whether it's a sport or an activity where you've got humans together, you're going to get one or two who may not know how to handle the stress of the situation. But it's usually in those high stress situations that those who have more insecurities, that's where you will see some dynamics happening. But at the Miss America level, I mean, it's the cream of the crop. And all of these young ladies, not only are they usually older, They have, crafted their stories. They have well-developed platforms or social,
Oh, we have a friend.
or I do. That's our cat. Sorry. We have
I
lots of
love
animals
it.
around the
I'm
house.
sure my
And she
dog
wants to
will
sit by me
benefit from.
like, of course she wants to come over here while
Yeah,
we're
she's
doing this.
Diva.
Yeah, and there goes my crown. But what's really interesting is that at the Miss America level, you're just getting those of us who understand the strategy of handling stress. And you just don't get a lot of the cat fighting. You don't get cut dresses. You don't get, you just don't get shouting. Now, maybe at the local level, you see some of that. But again, you're by and large your college age young ladies who are all striving for the same thing. But by the time you get to Miss America, what I was saying before the cat came in is that we all have state titles, and those state titles are pretty substantive within our state. Like in Kentucky, our Miss Kentucky is a partner with the Department of Agriculture here, and she actually speaks at schools throughout the state, like 5 days a week, 4 schools a day, about Kentucky Proud products. So she's actually got an active government role. And so if you don't win Miss America, you're coming back into something substantive. So it's not like the young ladies, if they don't win Miss America, are going to be lacking.
And they're already at that level because they're
Yeah.
representing their state.
Right.
Right.
We've already got a pretty phenomenal job. Now, of course, are there disappointments when there are those who don't win? Of course. Now, I've only judged at the Miss America level one time for the 100th anniversary. Judging is not something that I enjoy just because it's not about the one young lady who will win that you're going to change her life, but it's also about the other young ladies who aren't going to win, who wanted to win, and who will then be going home and try to figure out, okay, what next? Now that this dream didn't come to pass, what next? Now, I will say this though. If any set of young ladies is capable of moving on or transitioning into something even more successful, it's going to be the young ladies that compete in our system just because they're well educated, they're talented, and defeat is just not a word in
Yeah.
their vocabulary. No.
So basically, what you're saying is that I'm hanging around.
Sorry.
Speaking of a cat fight,
I know. That's where you're going to get the cat fight right there.
see that I've already warned my viewers that this is just all natural. It's organic. So what you're saying is I'm hanging around the wrong ladies.
Well, it might be interesting the dynamic that's around the ladies that you're around. I'm not saying that, there might be not be some situations, but it might just be because they're humans.
That is true. That is true. So, you 1999 was when you were actually crowned for
Miss America
2000.
2000. Yeah, it's always post dated. And so I
Okay.
was Miss Kentucky 1999 competing for Miss America 2000, which is
And
where
then,
this crown is that just almost fell down. This is
okay,
my
let's
gold crown with the rubies and
and
Swarovski
talk about the
crystal.
rubies. You talked about it when I got to wear the ring. You had a special crown
I
because
do. I have a Millennium crown because I was the Millennium Miss America. And there have only been three gold crowns in our history. One belongs to Phyllis George, who was 1971. She was the 50th anniversary Miss America. Ironically, she was also the first lady of Kentucky, but she was Miss Texas when she won Miss America. So she and I got a chance to know each other very well. And then the young lady that I judged, Emma Broyles, for the 100th anniversary, she has a gold crown that has crystal and has topaz in it. But mine is the only one that's gold crystal with the rubies. And so, yes, very
and
special crown.
can I ask, because this is the most tacky question, my mother, sorry, would be killing me. Is it real?
So it's gold and they're lab grown rubies and they're Swarovski crystal. So they're not diamonds, but they are Swarovski crystal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't get it. I was not allowed to travel with this on the road as Miss America. So I only got to wear it a handful of times. What's really interesting is the replacement crown they gave me to travel with was the traditional silver and crystal crown. And when I came back to crown Angela Verrocchio, my successor, I was wearing this crown and I still had in my dressing room the silver crown, and they didn't ask for it back. So I actually walked away with two crowns. Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell him, but you also got a ring.
I do. I have two
Yeah.
rings, just like I have two crowns. my husband actually had a platinum and diamond ring made for me. And then the Miss America organization, our new leader, Robin Fleming, who's phenomenal, actually for my 25th anniversary, got me a ring made that is gold and matches my crown with the rubies in it.
And we have the same. I got to wear it when you were there. You were so kind.
Yes.
Off and so, where does the crown sit? Where does the crown stay?
Where does the crown stay? It's not very glamorous, and I do want to show you the crown box because this is the old school Miss America crown box, and it is wooden, has the Miss America traditional logo, as Miss America 2000, and it stays nice and safe. I mean, it's padded on the inside and has a foam piece that goes in the center. What's interesting about the crown box, now I don't keep my crown on display because I still utilize it as a speaking tool sometimes when I go out to speak if it's appropriate. But what I like to show about the crown is that the crown really wasn't about me, but it was about the service that I could do for veterans and their families. And so in my crown box, I keep several items that are really important to me. And on top the foam that keeps the crown centered, I have a Vietnam Service Medal and then a lapel Purple Heart. And I've been given 3 full-size Purple Hearts by other veterans that I keep in archives. But I show children, especially in schools, these medals because as we go along, fewer and fewer of them have immediate family that are serving. In fact, only 0.5% of our nation stands up to serve and to swear the oath to serve in our military. So that leaves 99.5% of the rest of us to serve those who have answered that call of duty. So a lot of children haven't seen medals, and I love to be able to pass these around a classroom so that they can see, they can feel them. And then I also have a set of dog tags that a Vietnam veteran has given me, and he unfortunately has passed away. So I keep several mementos in my crown box to utilize and to also remember, this is glamorous. It was glamorous. There's still glamorous moments. The whole purpose of the system is to really be an advocate for your community that you choose to serve. And of course, mine. I'll always be the daughter of a disabled Vietnam veteran. So that to me supersedes.
Get into that too, because that's your platform. That's speaking of the crown, you made a really cool quote that I saw about it not being about the glitter of the crown, that it's really about the effort and the opportunity that the crown then gives you to, go, like you're saying, and change things. Did Miss America always have platforms? Like, I remember watching it when I was younger. Obviously, I probably wasn't listening to that part because I was, I was
looking at the gowns, looking at the talent.
Yeah. So
no, we didn't always have platforms. In fact, it was probably the latter part of the 80s that now there are a lot of subject matters that several of my older Miss America sisters cared about, and they did do appearances as such. Several during Vietnam, actually did USO tours over in Vietnam, but it wasn't officially established until like 1989, 1988 probably, when Kaylani Leigh Rathko became Miss America. She was a nurse and she was a hospice nurse. So she kind of started the energy around having a cause. And then, of course, you had Gretchen Carlson, and then Debbie Turner really took that on. And from, the early 90s on, we've always had, whether it's a platform, a CSI, which is a community service initiative, or social impact initiative, I think is what they call it today.
And another quote that you talked about is something your dad said that just literally put me in tears. You mentioned that this was your 4th year, like you couldn't do it again because you were going to age out at 24.
Yep, right? I was going to be a has-been at 24. I was peaking.
Lord.
I know.
Lord. But your dad said the veterans need a Miss America. I mean,
it was a very pivotal moment for me. I had decided in my very last year of eligibility, I was not only an art director at the EPA, I was teaching fashion illustration. I was finishing up grad school at UC. And I told my mom, I said, I just can't do it anymore. It's just too much to try to focus on. And of course, as the wise woman that she is, she said, well, let's just not make any hasty decisions. And it wasn't too long after that my father got really sick with pneumonia. went septic and they had to induce a coma. And the last moment I saw him, now he is Mr. America, so he is alive. He's doing great today. He'll sign an autograph for you. But the last thing he said before he went into a coma is, I want you to try one more time. Our veterans need a Miss America. And that was the first time that I felt like I had the authority to talk about our family's issues. Because if you remember, in those days, there was still a stigma around PTSD, Agent Orange. There were so few services for veterans, and all that my family had gone through. My uncle was a homeless veteran who had been found and put back into a veteran rehab facility, and he was doing great. But you just didn't talk about these things in a small town. And my job then as a contestant and then ultimately as Miss America was to normalize that conversation. And that was really what impacted and made the most pivotal difference for me.
Your uncle and your dad was the reason that, not many 24-year-olds were thinking veterans, I'm sure.
Right. They weren't necessarily thinking about it. What is very interesting is there were so many of us in Gen X that were impacted because of our family service in Vietnam, but no one talked about it. No one thought about the children. No one really thought about the families. Of course, Vietnam veterans were still a sticky subject in and of themselves, but there were no supportive services across the board for families. Now, you fast forward 25 years later, and largely due to 9/11, that sort of woke our nation up, no doubt, but also the work that we had begun to do in 2000. You fast forward, and now we've got so many supportive services and resources that are available for dependents of veterans, spouses of veterans. I mean, we have more than we've ever had before. And in fact, I work with an educational nonprofit called Global Game Changers, and we too are partnered with what we call Purple Star Schools. And these are schools that choose to be friendly to military connected children, which means that you don't have to be a child of an immediate current serving military member. It can be that you have a grandfather, an aunt, an uncle, what have you, that has served or is serving. And it is just the recognition that there may be some anomalies in your life that other children who don't have that connection have. And so what are the resources that these schools are providing? So we created an elementary school lesson for military connected children and those schools. And that Purple Star School program actually was born out of Ohio. So we are proud that now that's available throughout the whole country.
So when you won, then you spend a year, do you get to choose initiatives that supported your veteran passion?
So there's a business manager at Miss America, and their sole responsibility is making sure that your year is filled with impactful appearances. And there are some other appearances that I did for like Children's Miracle Network, which weren't seemingly tied to my veterans initiative, but were no less important, obviously. But a bulk of my work I spent in Washington, D.C., working on legislative policy. That is not something that I knew I had a tact with. And so it is something that I fell in love with. And as commissioner of our Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs, I became the policy analyst for our department, and I loved it.
And there's my dog.
And there's your dog. Yeah, see? Animals just bring so much. Yes.
The
Amazon driver.
Dropping off my mask for the Halloween firefighters haunted house. And
oh, very nice. Yeah, Amazon's already been to her house twice today, I think. Yes.
Yeah. So what is the most, I know my dad is a veteran and he's passed away, but I know that it was, you just didn't know the benefits that were out there for him. It's very I think overwhelming a little bit.
It can be. Absolutely.
If a veteran is watching this right now, what are some easy steps for them, or maybe some benefits that they don't know that they get?
Well, one of my first lines of opportunity as commissioner was really to explain the different structures of the Veterans Administration. Obviously, you see the VA medical centers. That is the federal VA, the United States Veterans Healthcare Administration. And they have hospitals. They handle all of the national benefits and disabilities. But every state also has a state department of Veterans Affairs. Ohio has, every state has it. Now, I was called a commissioner. I'm not sure what your state director is called, if it's a director, a secretary, or a commissioner. But we handle veterans nursing homes, veterans cemeteries, and then a whole states full of regional benefits that are only for our state. So we might have some regional benefits for those in the Appalachia area in Eastern Kentucky, or we may have specific benefits that are regional for Western Kentucky veterans or women veterans and homeless veterans. And so if you're a veteran and you need help, I'm going to plead with you to call your state Department of Veterans Affairs first, because they have assets in every community, in every county throughout your state that the federal VA might not know about. And they can then connect you to the federal VA and also file your claims, disability, and benefits. I would not advocate for any veteran to try to navigate that alone. So there are representatives hired just by the state to be your advocate.
That's awesome. Will this be something that you will do until?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, it is probably still my number one appearance and speaking request is to talk about veterans' healthcare and benefits, the transition over time. Right now, we are talking a lot about aging veterans and how different that looks, because when I was commissioner, it was mostly World War II and Korean veterans. And now we're transitioning into our nursing home facilities are by and large Vietnam veterans. And I mean, when you think about even Gulf War veterans, gosh, I mean, it's just time is flying by and it's fast. And each one of those generation of veterans has different styles of treatment. I think about what PTSD treatment might be for a World War II veteran versus now what we have for Vietnam veterans and beyond. And as those resources grow, all that treatment looks a little bit different. And so you try to keep up with those treatment capabilities. And so the transition through the generations is really important. One of my ultimate roles is actually creating military educational displays. So I have a foundation called the Heather French Foundation for Veterans. And we had started doing 25 years ago doing healthcare screenings because the VA was a little restricted on their enrollment for veterans. But as we've transitioned even over the years, we've realized that patient education and also public awareness of veterans and honoring their sacrifice and service has been more and more needed. And so we create military educational displays. Our largest is in Kentucky at the Kentucky State Fair, and it's 10,000 square feet. So we've gone from World War I and migrated all the way up to Vietnam. And next year, we're going to be doing America 250, which is 250 years of Kentucky's military involvement. And that, to me, allows me to share stories that have gone untold. And that's really important. Remembrance, to me, is more than just history. It's really the humanity that we have to show our veterans and their families.
And like you were saying, that the kids just aren't aware, keeping those stories alive so that they can educate these children on what they
learn in school. There's such a time limit on what they can learn. I was thinking when I was developing the World War I exhibit, Louisville was one of only 16 camps, Camp Zachary Taylor, to train troops in the entire United States. And so many people in Louisville and Kentucky didn't even know that. And as I led that World War I initiative throughout Kentucky, we developed the Kentucky Poppy Project. And so we had schools all over the state and some throughout the country making poppies. The teachers would talk about their World War I veterans from their area. And it was interesting to learn that almost every major conflict after World War I came out of World War I. Vietnam came out of World War I because Ho Chi Minh was at the Paris peace talks and President Woodrow Wilson refused to talk to him. And so Russia took him. And so you think about those different dynamics of what happened and how did we not teach children about that? But where education lacks, that's where the community, I always say the community has an enormous responsibility to take up the charge. And that's where I feel that we fill in that gap.
Yeah, I just want to, so I had warned my viewers that we would have no political talk on any of my podcasts, but
Sure.
I need my viewers to know that I don't consider this political talk. Like there's
Oh
political
yeah, no, not at all.
and there's
Right.
political talk. So I did not break my promise on the first
No,
episode.
not at all. No, I'm not.
Don't be
I'm
sending me those emails, people. I did
yeah,
not.
no, not at all.
I want to talk about you went from long hair to short hair, and you said it was a pivotal moment for you. And I need to dig into what does that mean?
Well, it's interesting. When I was competing, one day I was looking in my closet, and my roommate and I, who I'd grown up with, she was standing there with me, and I was so frustrated because I had like Heather the student, Heather the professional, and Heather the competitor, and it was just like I had three different Heathers, all authentic, but all different versions of myself. And I had this long hair, and I was like, I'm just going to cut it off. I just wasn't emotionally tied to my hair. And when I say long, it was long. And I went into a Regis hairstyle salon. I was like, just cut it off. Now you're seeing me today with longer hair than I've had in a long
Yeah.
time, but my hair traditionally is super short, and I won with short hair, and I'm the first and only short-haired Miss America. And it was pivotal in that moment. It gave me a solid identity, a brand before we even really knew what branding was, and it encouraged women in the early 2000s like to stand their ground. It was very popular among like the civilian population. I oftentimes talk about pageant population and then civilian population, just like the military does with civilians, because normal people just think pageants are a little odd. But it really helped to bridge the gap between the civilian population and pageantry, and it woke people up. So it was a calling card. People knew me by my short hair. In those days, we didn't have sashes, like what just almost fell. I had to get mine retroactively because for 30 years, we didn't wear sashes.
Okay.
And we didn't really wear the crown. So if you look at pictures of me throughout my year doing speeches, being in front of Congress, it just wasn't appropriate really to wear the crown. And how do people know who Miss America is? Well, you had a crown pin, you had a crown ring. So the hair really made me identifiable.
It was your
And
superpower.
it was my super, yeah, absolutely. And so for 25 years, I've kept that. But I did say to myself that when I hit my 25th anniversary of Miss America, that it was time for a bit of a rebrand. That Miss America isn't all of who Heather is. It's a part, a big part, no doubt. But I still have a lot of life to go. I mean, I just turned 50 in December. Well, I'm heading toward 51, I guess, saying. But I think once we cross a threshold as women, there's a certain like ownership of all of who you are. And it's just time to transition once again.
We would be remiss if we didn't mention your family. You
My girls, my husband, yeah, my girls are
two
22 and
lovely girls.
24.
You have a great husband. He was
Yes,
the former lieutenant
governor.
governor of Kentucky.
Yeah, served two terms. He was the first two consecutive term lieutenant governor, and it was the first time that our governor and lieutenant governor ran together on the same ticket. Previously, they had run separate.
And so what year
How
did you
did we
meet?
meet? Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So I know what you're getting at.
how
So
did you meet and when did you get married?
we met when I was actually a prelim title holder. I was Miss Lexington, and this was my second year competing, but first year in Kentucky, so back home. We met at Miss Kentucky. He had the hard job of hosting all the Miss Kentucky contestants at the lieutenant governor's mansion for a brunch during competition week. And he
Difficult.
was a bachelor. He had never been married, never been engaged. He was still a practicing trauma orthopedic surgeon and in office, so he was crazy busy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when I think about when when we finally got married, so it took us a few years to get things in order. We would lose each other's number, or I was off at college at Cincinnati and, out of sight, out of mind, whatever. And then when I won Miss Kentucky, we had to do some appearances together. And that was all she wrote
And
because
spark started
we went
flying.
on we went on our first date before Miss America, what we call our first date, which was an official day together at the state fair. And then he sent me roses at Miss America. And yeah, I mean, we were engaged in February of 2000, officially engaged. We'd already sort of planned our wedding, but we were officially engaged. And then 14 days after my year ended, we were married. And now my wedding dress and his tux are on display at the Fraser History Museum here in Louisville, Kentucky for their love and marriage exhibit. So that's kind of fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
And
so
then,
25th anniversary all around for me.
yeah, yeah. And then two girls, what do they do? Where are they in their life?
My girls are 22 and 24. My 22-year-old Taylor is actually, she competes in the Miss Kentucky system, which is crazy watching your child go through the journey or a
That was
light
going to
journey.
be
It's
my
never the same
question.
journey, but she has to find her own path, and that's great. I'm here to cheer her on, but she wants to be a domestic violence lawyer, so DV, and she is in pre-law. She'll take her LSAT in January. Harper is first year medical school. She just finished her master's in public health and epidemiology and is heading down Stephen's path, certainly. But both have been in and around Miss America and all of my veterans work so much that they have turned into just dynamic forces of nature. In fact, I have a hashtag on my social media. It's hashtag Heather's Girls Are Fierce. And anytime they're in a picture, I put that hashtag, and there's like hundreds, if not thousands, of people who tag them that way because they've grown up gripping and grinning from the time they were old enough to say hi. These are young ladies that I can take to a reception, a cocktail party, an event. They are not clinging to me. They are out like networking, making connections, and they too understand, just like I talk to our clients about staying on topic. What is it that our initiative is here tonight? What's the intent? What do we need to talk about? We need to ask people about themselves. It's not just about us, but let's be cordial. Let's create great conversation and be a part of the community. And our girls they could teach a master class at how to do that.
Ma'am, they're how they are because of you, Queen.
Well,
I mean,
well,
come on. Everything you're explaining about how they are, I'm like, that's her. Yep, that's her. I mean, they
Well,
are.
but I will say this, there's always the opportunity in a public life where kids can revolt and rebel, and we really have intentionally tried not to overdo it.
Mhm.
And we've really intentionally tried to wrap them into the service component of what we do. Now, that means that, when they were growing up, not every Saturday was a sport, it was an event. They were volunteering or, they were doing some sort of extracurricular activity that might not have been school related. But I feel like they have gotten the best out of what public life has to offer without being too tainted. And that to me that's the win.
Well, it's a testament to you and your husband's raising them. I mean, even though you're saying in that life there are kids that turn out to not be so gracious, that's probably because you're going to find that the parent also wasn't as well.
It's just hard, especially in the life with social media today, where I know by the time they were in fourth and fifth grade, people knew who I was and they would look up my swimsuit picture, competing for Miss America. And that's got to be odd. But we
Sure.
had open conversations about that. And Steve and I pride ourselves on making sure that our kids could come to us and talk to us about anything. And we would walk that journey together. I'm not saying we have been perfect or there have been all perfect situations, but I do feel like they've gotten the best out of all of that and they've learned a tremendous amount, especially now that Taylor is competing. She's had more exposure into how to handle herself as a brand and as a candidate than anybody else. So I'm happy with what she is choosing to do. And she went into the service. She went into the Navy, and I was really proud of her for that. She got injured and came home, but that really put a fire in her to work on suicide prevention because she had experienced several moments where there were those that died by suicide, even in basic training or boot camp is what they still call it in the Navy. And so she has taken that on as her platform. So just like what I had a passion, she's got her own passion as well.
Is her goal? Does she want to someday be in the Miss America pageant?
Well,
Is that
hopefully, I mean, that's what she's gunning for, right? So she has been competing for a couple of years at the Miss Kentucky level, and if she wins Miss Kentucky, she'll be there at Miss America. And again, it's interesting as a Miss America and a mom to stand back and watch your children do the thing you did, and especially the thing you succeeded at, and knowing when to be mom and when to be Miss America. So a lot of times I lean on my Miss America sisters to do a little bit of the, I don't want to say coaching because I don't really like that word, but a little bit of the mentoring,
yeah.
certainly. But she is just, this system is about learning about yourself. This isn't about people telling you how to be. It is about learning how to be objective, learning your own brand, who you are, what your opinions are. And yes, everybody needs a little bit of mentoring and coaching, just like what I do with our clients and training how to talk to media, how to give a speech, all of that great stuff. But, ages 18 to 28, I mean, that's a pretty sensitive time. You're finding out who you are and what you believe in. And we're asking these young ladies to do a lot with what they've been given and who they are at that time at a very young age. And so I think she's done a great job. And my cat is once again jumping.
She's back.
No, 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 you're not. Yes, this is Sabrina, everyone.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina. Say hi. We also have a dog, Lily. Lily is my Princess Liliana. But Sabrina was my daughter's cat, who we now have adopted.
Who is now your cat?
Yes.
And is there any daughter, mother, Miss Americas?
There are not. There have been Miss Americas whose daughters have competed. Kelly Cash, from who was Miss Tennessee, Miss America, her daughter was Miss Virginia, and competed several years ago. And then Becky King, who was Miss America 1974, her daughter was Miss Colorado. Okay. So we've had several, but just no dual winners.
Man,
I know. That would be weird.
So that would be amazing. That would be amazing. So not only, I mean, all that you have already done, then you run for an office.
Yeah. So in life,
like that
there
one
are
hurt my head. That one was like, what?
In life, and I hope I'm speaking to someone out there. It's really important to know what your passions are, but it's also important to understand what you're not going to do. And sometimes you have to try the thing in order to realize this is not for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love government. I work in government beautifully. I worked for both a Democratic and a Republican administration. I am a worker, so I'm going to make things happen. If you want me to take care of veterans, and you've got this agenda and you got this, I'm going to figure out how to make it all work, because strategy is just my zone of genius. So the Secretary of State's office is interesting because in Kentucky, they handle a lot of overseas votings for our military. There are also historic records that they keep here in Kentucky. And they're also, they handle all of our business filings. And so there are some programs for veteran-owned businesses that I wanted to have more of a say-so in. I sat on several committees with the Secretary of State's office as commissioner, but I wanted to actually do more. And that was my thought in transitioning to run. Now, am I glad I didn't win? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But what's interesting is I'm glad I'm not that. That is just that.
Are you glad that you did run?
That might still be out for debate.
Okay. All right. I love your honesty.
I want to be very honest. It wasn't something that I really loved. In fact, I probably broke down in tears quite a bit. I don't like asking people for money, especially money that's not tax deductible, certainly. And I wasn't raised in a family that was politically involved, so it was very odd for me to make cold calls, and the pressure that's put on candidates to raise so much money, it just seemed inauthentic to me. And I did not like having to sign when I ran. You have to sign a piece of paper that says you promise to adhere to your party's guidelines or whatever. And I've never been owned. Miss America, representing that organization, was the only and the closest I've ever been to like being somebody's brand person, right? Mm-hmm. And so politically, I did not like that. I still don't like that.
Okay.
Hmm.
And what year was that?
2019.
Okay. Wow. You shoved it all in there, didn't you,
I
girl?
did. Like 25 years, I've had a lot of impact, certainly. But that being said, I know that that's not something. I don't enjoy the election process. Some people really do. I mean, my husband and his friends, like, they love the strategy of running for office. It's just, I like the strategy of work.
Right.
Like, if you want to put me in your administration and you give me a goal, I I love making government work because government can work. Federal government is a little slow and archaic. State governments can be very efficient.
Okay.
And there are a lot of great state workers. So I enjoyed being able to do what I did at the department.
Are you currently in with the Commissioner of Veteran Affairs? Like, what is your, do you
No,
still
in
do the
fact,
thing?
no.
Okay.
I walked
So
away from
nothing
that.
anymore right now in
Yeah.
the politics. Okay.
No, I just serve on several boards. I'm on the Commission on Military Affairs. We have several installations in Kentucky, so we work in partnership with those installations like Fort Campbell, Fort Knox, and the Bluegrass Army Depot. And then I also serve on the Military History Museum board, so we oversee what we call the Arsenal. It's one of our oldest arsenals within the state, and so we have a museum in there, and I serve on that board as well.
Okay. So now we've put the political talk on the back burner, and let's move into, you were a fashion designer. You are a fashion designer. Do you have a label? Do you have a brand? Do you have a store? Do you do anything with fashion anymore?
I had a line of evening wear for about 7 years. So I worked for myself and also another company out of Chicago. But my three lines were Frenchy Prom, the Heather French Henry collection, and Heather, which was my cocktail collection. So I was in hundreds of retailers across the country for about 7 years. And then the pandemic shut down all of our factories. 95% of the world's evening wear is made in Chaozhou, China. I don't want anybody to freak out there. They specialize in it. That industry is never coming back to the United States. We just don't teach that type of labor and or have that talent over here anymore. And those people who work in those factories, I went over 5 times a year. I got a chance to see conditions and I was front line with all of the factory owners and workers and really enjoyed my time with them. The expertise that they bring to the table in design and construction and manufacturing is top tier. So I enjoyed that, but the pandemic shut everything down. So I transitioned that part of my business into gifts and accessories. And we own the Rosemary Clooney Museum,
Oh,
which
we're getting
houses
to
the
that,
White
girl.
Christmas. Yes. So
Don't even talk to. We're getting there.
yeah, I know, but this goes
I
into that. So
can't.
I stopped making big girl gowns and I decided that I wanted to do costume oriented Christmas ornaments. And as a designer, my challenge was how do I make things handcrafted here in Kentucky and not have it be too labor intensive so that either myself or a team of people could actually craft locally. And it took me several reiterations, but now I'm several years in. I sell thousands of Christmas ornaments worldwide. I'm shipping one off today to Australia, which I think is
Oh my
amazing.
gosh.
And yeah, and now I've also gone into charms and jewelry as well, which is amazing. So for me, I'm always going to transition's probably my key word. I'm always going to be transitioning into something. If I hit a bump in the road, I can pivot and transition. I don't believe in impossibilities, certainly. So when those factories shut down, I just pivoted.
And yeah, I think that's where you and I are very similar, where we don't know, we don't just pivot, we put 100% into that next phase.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, it's not just a quick little pivot and then I'm going to pivot to something. Like, it is wherever I am, and I think you are the same. It is 125% into that until the next.
Otherwise, why do it?
Amen. Amen. So you let the cat out of the bag.
I did. I'm sorry. But my job is helping to transition, so I'm always going to move it forward.
Perfect. Okay. how did the Rosemary Clooney connection even begin? What were you gifted? And what does George Clooney smell like?
First off, George is amazing. His whole family is great. So I mentioned I was from Augusta, Kentucky. Rosemary Clooney is from Maysville, Kentucky, and then later moved to Augusta, Kentucky in 1980, bought a house to be close to Nick, Nina, George, and Ada, his sister. And I had grown up with the Clooney family, but had not met Rosemary. She was already well into her career and, kind of in her second career, mind you, doing concerts everywhere. When I won Miss America, she was the second phone call I received after winning. She hunted me down. And luckily, I wasn't too far away. I was in New York City. I was doing a media tour, and my traveling companion, AKA chaperone, because Miss America is never alone when she
No.
travels, she came into my room and she said, "You'll never guess who's on the phone for you. It's Rosemary Clooney." And from then on, once a week, every week, she called to check in on me. She helped me so much. There were, contracts to be signed, concerts, like I sang at Carnegie Hall, the Kennedy Center. I did, very interesting appearances, even lit the Rockefeller Christmas tree with
Oh my
Rosemary.
gosh.
Right. So two Kentucky gals got to be on that show together. And she was such a great mentor to me. And when she passed away, we bought her house in Augusta, not thinking it would be a museum, but we had a beautiful friendship at Paramount Studios. And she did 4 movies with Paramount and then one with MGM, her largest, of course, being White Christmas. And they found the Sisters fan. And we thought really that was going to be the only item that we would have in the museum. But one thing led to the next, and it just is a project that was meant to be. It's a 100% museum to the life and career of Rosemary Clooney. We also have, other than White Christmas, we have Here Come the Girls, The Stars Are Singing, Red Garters, Deep in My Heart, which is what she did with MGM. But we also have co-stars like Vera Ellen, George Chakiris, Arlene Dahl, Tony Martin, Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye. We've got the original sisters dresses, for goodness sake, right,
Oh
from
my
White Christmas.
gosh.
And
So
it
it's a
is just
museum. People
it
come
is
and
a it's a museum. It is open April through like November 1st. So this weekend we will go into appointment only hours because our White Christmas collection travels throughout the country. It will be not going too far this year. It's actually going to go to the Behringer Crawford Museum in Covington, Kentucky for a White Christmas celebration there. So it's been in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Greenville, South Carolina, the Durham Museum in Omaha, Nebraska. So we've traveled it for several years during the holiday season. It allows thousands of other people to see the collection who will
doing it.
probably never come to Augusta. Augusta's 1,400 people if you count the cats and dogs. It is lovely. Don't get me wrong. If you want to come to Augusta, you will definitely enjoy it. It's right
I'm
nestled
coming.
on the Ohio River, but it's not on everybody's to-do list. So we like to take the collection to the masses.
Yeah. And so you say so do you pack all this stuff up and send it?
Oh yeah. Listen, it is like I
You
know
do.
that it sounds like a glamorous life, but there's not a lot of glamour to it. I put on the makeup and I put on the shine, but no, we will be boxing all of it up, putting it in a box truck. We hand deliver it. Sometimes we actually help install it. To larger museums, they have curators who obviously
Sure.
design their exhibit, but we are usually pretty involved in the exhibit and media, definitely. And then I have a veteran component that is tied to the White Christmas exhibit. So, as most people know, White Christmas is actually a military holiday film. The whole premises is to honor General Waverly's sacrifice in service during World War II. And I created a program called Operation Waverly, named after General Waverly. And we partner the hosting museum with a local veteran project. And so we utilize the media and the awareness to help boost whatever that veteran project needs. And this year we've got several homeless veteran organizations that are going to benefit from that.
That's so awesome. I mean, again, you could have just passed it on and shared it and respected Rosemary's
Sure.
legacy, but instead you added that extra
She would
element.
love it. Yeah, she
Yeah.
she would I think she would really love the fact that we put that as part of her legacy as well.
So if I asked you what the most famous person in your cell phone would be, would you say George Clooney?
I would say there's probably several people in
Uh,
my phone.
Yep.
Certainly, I've been very blessed to make some really great friends.
What
But
is
I
it?
will say, someone who's not in my phone who I wish was,
No.
would probably be Tom Hanks. Tom
Oh,
and I did several appearances together during my Miss America year. We were helping to raise money for the World War II Memorial Foundation, which was really the start of what honor flights became, right? We
right.
started honor flights to get World War II veterans to DC to see it. And now we're up to taking Korean and Vietnam veterans to DC. But we actually did several appearances together, and he is just the most lovely human being. And to me, he's like the epitome of what a Hollywood star
Pick up your
is.
phone. Why don't we call George here live on the
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
We'll ask him for Tom's number. I mean, I don't understand what the
I
problem
am
is
sure
here.
I'd be able to find it. You only get a chance to go to that well a couple times. So
I hear you. I
yeah.
hear you. My father was able to go on to the honor flight. He was a Korean war
No.
vet, and my husband got to take him because
As a
he
guardian.
yeah, and it was just a terrible, terrible rainy
Oh, I've done one of those.
time.
I've been on several.
But just the pictures and the video of them walking
Yeah.
in from the airport and being greeted by other military
hmm
with the applause, just that's such a
Yeah.
great program.
It really is a wonderful program. And if you're out there watching and you don't know how to get your loved one involved in the honor flight, go to honorflight.org. There will be every state is on there and it will connect you to all the different programs. Like in Kentucky, we've got Honor Flight Bluegrass, which goes out of Louisville, but Honor Flight Kentucky goes out of Lexington Airport. So basically, every major airport has an honor flight program that goes
And
into
it's quick. I
DC.
mean, it's a day. You go there and you come
It's
back.
a day and it's a full day,
It
but
is.
no, it's pretty awesome, no doubt. And one of the other tie-ins that I didn't even talk about, you mentioned George. His mom Nina was actually Miss Lexington as well. She was
Huh?
runner-up at Miss Kentucky, and George's dad was the MC and said if she'd won, he wasn't going to ask her out, but she was runner-up, and so he asked her out, and then like 6 months later, they were married.
Oh my
So
God. Well, thank goodness she didn't win or we wouldn't have George.
I know, but I always go, well, there might not be a him if there wasn't for Miss America. I'm just saying.
Well, you're one of my top five famous people on my cell phone now. So just so
Oh, I
you
love
know,
that. Thank
just so
you.
you know. Okay, so are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Uh-oh. Oh gosh, Molly, you didn't tell me we were going to do this. Okay, I'll do
Yeah,
my best. I'll do
let's
my
do
best.
it.
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay, first
Okay.
of all, um, some are deep and some are
Okay.
fun.
All right.
Most amazing opportunity you were given through Miss America.
So I'm going to go, well, there are two. A fun opportunity would be the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'd always dreamt of being Miss America in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and that got to come true. Phenomenal. Two, as far as substantive, to be able to testify before Congress and Senate several times, like that level of just acceptance into having the knowledge and expertise in veterans issues because of my dad and what we were doing, that was pretty profound.
And being heard.
And being heard,
You
right.
know, people can
hmm
talk all day long, but
Right.
you had. All right. What is beauty to you?
What is beauty to me? Well, now that I'm 50, that certainly has changed quite a bit. And I think authenticity is more beautiful than anything. And authenticity is also a word I know it's starting to be overused, and we all have kind of curated realities of what authenticity is. But it's still pretty powerful. And I think now at 50, I know myself more. I'm I'm more open, but yet understand who I am and what I bring to the table. So I value who I am more than I did, which I think people think really odd because I was Miss America at 24. So you would think that, oh, I thought I was hot stuff then. Yeah, well, I was good for what I was then, but who I am at 50 now, like, and what I bring to the table, I feel pretty confident in who Heather is today.
Well, I'm 55, and I think that the best part of the 50s is not caring what other people think. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, what do I think? What's
But how does it
mine?
make me feel? Right.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Sure.
think you're not a grandma yet, but I warn you, it is such a life-changing experience because of that. Like when you
Mhm.
were having kids, all you cared, not all you cared about, but you cared about what other people thought.
Sure.
What do they think about how I dress my kid, how I'm parenting, how I'm
Hmm.
correcting them, whatever, what they're eating, whatever. Now it's like I could care less about what other people. It is all about my grandkids,
Hmm.
and I don't think about the outside noise. And it's such a free. It's a love you. Just it's a warning. It's a
Well,
warning
I
for
have a
anybody.
grandkitty, so I've got the grandkitty.
It's
Yeah.
a love that you'll never. I'm telling you. All right. So you're truly unstoppable. What's next?
I would love to continue to scale and grow my charms and ornaments. We also have a White Christmas coffee table book coming out next year, which is 352 pages of all the information you never knew you needed to know about White Christmas and the making
Love
of,
that.
down to what they were doing on what date, as far as like production, what stars were there on
Oh
set.
my
So
gosh.
that has been a very long overdue project. It's taken us, gosh, almost a decade to put together, but
Yeah.
it's going to be fabulous. So next year is our big
I
year for
will
that.
pick it up when I come next year to the museum because I'm coming. What's your best failure?
My best failure,
Failure.
probably
All
losing.
failures are good.
Yeah, I
But
mean, when I look at failures, I just see something that just didn't work out or it wasn't where I was supposed to be, but I tried.
right.
So in every failure, you at least put your foot forward to do the thing or to try the thing. So as a designer, I just look at it as, well, that mock-up didn't work out. So we just have to design it, have a new reiteration of. So probably running for office. That was something that, but I was able to move on from that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't. I think that's why I put the word best in front of it because I don't think
Hmm.
failure is a bad word at all.
Right, but it still
I
got me.
don't.
I still traveled the whole state and I have remained very active. And people who I worked with during the campaign, county judges and what have you, I still work with on other projects. So it was just, I just didn't win the race, but that's okay.
It's a different way to connect.
Hmm.
What are you binging on TV?
I just finished Handmaid's Tale. And let me just tell you, that rocked
I can't.
my
Yeah,
world.
I can't.
Wow.
I can't. I
Mm.
no, I just can't.
Yeah, it's a lot. And in fact,
Yeah,
I there were several episodes that I was like, I don't know with what's happening if I can continue to watch, but I did, and
you
I
did.
I watch in my studio when I'm like creating and making the things, and
Uh-huh.
there are lots of seasons. I'm glad that I did it in the end. I'm really looking forward to the new book, The Testaments.
Okay.
And I think they're filming now, so I'm excited about that. But I will, if you want to know the strangest thing I've binged. I love action hero movies because Wonder Woman is like Linda Carter is my
Oh
girl.
yeah.
And I watched all the Marvel movies in chronological order. So like I think there's 32 of them. I
Oh my
decided
God.
that like it started during the pandemic, which was a brilliant time to do
Perfect
it, right?
time.
And so, like, every other night while I was doing work, I would put one of the movies on and I found a list online and I watched them all in chronological order. And, like, I'm proud of myself. That's an
I can't.
achievement.
I can't say I have seen any. I don't think I've seen one.
And they make so much more sense when you watch them in chronological
Yeah.
order.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy all of a sudden makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I am binging. I just started binging The Veep with
Oh, I've been told I
it's
need to watch
it's
that.
an old
Yes.
one. It's an oldie but
Yeah.
goodie. What song, when you get it on play, just makes you want to get up and dance and have fun and put you in a great mood?
Oh, Justin Timberlake's I Got That Feeling.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love
that
it.
definitely anytime it comes on, I'm like, I'm moving.
It's your jam. What's your guilty
Or Jump
pleasure?
Around. Like Jump
Ooh,
Around. That's an old college
that's a
like
good
song.
one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. What's a guilty pleasure?
A guilty pleasure, sour candy.
Ooh,
Love me some
okay. So I
sour
have one
candy.
for you then. I just got them the other day. Um, it's Shackalicious. I'm assuming it's a Shack combo. I will put a picture up for people right
Okay.
now. There's three shapes. One's a shamrock, which is sour apple. One's a pineapple, which you never see in the sour world.
Right.
Pineapple.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
And then the other one is a berry. And the best part about these candies is and I got them at like CVS. The
Okay.
top half is a good chew, and then the bottom half of each of these figures are a little harder chew.
Okay.
And it's like an extra bonus. I can't
Oh,
explain it. All I
I'm
can
gonna
say
have to
is
go get some. I
I'm
am,
gonna
and
have to
I
get
eat
them.
it, and now that I've gotten older, it's like I know it's gonna upset my stomach,
I
but
know,
I'm just gonna do it.
I know.
That and like my new thing is like kettle corn. Like I can't even do regular popcorn anymore. I do kettle corn.
I
It's like the
love it.
sweeter popcorn.
Yes,
That's some good stuff.
love it. I'll have to send you some from the popcorn shrimp balls popcorn shop.
Yes.
Um, and let's see, I've got just a few more. Most famous person you've ever met.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, President Clinton, Tom Hanks. I'm just, George. I mean, just
Yeah, I mean, we have to say, George, you got to keep the peace there. If
yeah.
he's
I'll keep the peace. I mean,
if
he's
he's going to
still
be a guest on my podcast, we have to
yeah.
keep him happy. So yeah,
He's my homeboy. No, I love he and Amal come back home to Augusta quite frequently, and he and his family are dear.
have they seen the museum? Obviously,
Yes. Sure.
yeah. Um, what's the last picture you took on your cell phone?
The last picture I took on my cell phone was at the pump. No, our anniversary. We went out to dinner the other night. So our anniversary was October 27th. And
All
so
right,
that would be my husband and
happy
I at our anniversary
anniversary.
dinner. Yeah,
How many years?
25.
25. All right, send
Yeah.
me that picture because we're going to put it up.
Oh, great. Okay.
Um, first thing you do when you wake up in the morning.
I take my thyroid medicine because you have to wait 30 minutes to be able to drink a cup of coffee.
Folks, that's what 50 looks like.
That's it. And I'm consistent. I got a morning routine. I get up, I brush my teeth, take my medicine, take the dog out, come back in, shower or do my face, whatever. And by that time, it's a half hour. And then I get to go. I actually have started drinking a cup of green tea first before my coffee because
Okay.
of all the acids. So I've got a pretty strict regimen in the morning. But first thing is my thyroid medicine.
And we know everybody um, that she uses L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation because how do I know that you ask? Well, because I'm obsessed with face, like of skin. And when Heather came in, I was just like, okay, I think it was probably the second question I
It,
asked you.
yeah. It
I
might have been
don't
the
know
first question, actually. Like, what?
even know what foundation you use because your skin is matte and beautiful. And so
Thank
it
you.
is this. So she did text it to me. It is this foundation, and I've been using it ever since to the point where the first day people are like, oh my gosh, your face looks so great.
Oh,
And I
I
was
love
like,
that.
well,
Yeah.
Miss America told me the
And
foundation.
I've worked with so many different makeup artists and, I've used all the high end products and I'm still an 80s drugstore makeup
Yeah.
kind of gal. And so while like I use a lot of Merle Norman powder, I love their Ultra Cream powder. But foundation wise, I just think that there are a lot of wonderful dupes that you can get at the drugstore that are
This is
reasonably
it.
priced. That's
So
it,
L'Oreal,
L'Oreal.
if you would like to sponsor this episode, give
You
me a
should.
call or send us free foundation.
And
I
they own Lancome. So it's interesting when you look at those two products. Like I've used Lancome foundation, but I prefer the L'Oreal version
I know.
more.
I am number 420, L'Oreal. So feel free to send us all
Send
the
some
free
products. I'll be your
um,
spokesperson.
heels or sneakers.
I do about half and half. I
Okay.
don't wear heels that are uncomfortable anymore. I've transitioned into that. So there are certain brands I love, like Nine West of all shoes. Like a size 7 and any Nine West shoe usually feels fine on my feet.
There's another
Coach,
sponsor, everybody. Nine
yeah,
West. Get her some
yeah.
shoes.
Coach and Valentino, like those are the three brands of heels that I can stand in for a while.
Okay.
But I do, anytime I'm not in heels, I'm in sneakers. So my Hokas are my go to.
Okay. Biggest pet peeve.
Biggest pet peeve, misperceptions like of me. If I go to an appearance and somebody reads that I was Miss America, and you can just see, the that people have certain thoughts, and it just, I know it's part of my job to dispel the myth, but can we just not?
I mean, it's 2025 at this point, people. We
Yeah,
do, I
right.
hate to break it to you, but ladies do have brains.
Yeah, we can walk and chew gum at the same time
Yes.
and
Yes.
smile and wear pretty gowns. Like, let's just not judge.
Most amazing country you ever visited.
Most amazing country. Well, I worked in China for quite some time, and I know it
Oh,
gets a bad rap, but I really enjoyed my time there. I would fly into Hong Kong. I love that airport. I would stay in Kowloon, and then I would fly into Shantou and drive into Chaozhou. And I love the people. I love the history. Like the KFC is right next to some thousand-year-old whatever dynasty temple, and people are just sitting on the steps. Like,
eating their KFC. Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
look at that. That's like history.
Oh my gosh. Something that people might not know about you.
Something that people might not
Oh, you're
know.
pretty much an open book, but
I am, because
so
it's
give
all
me
out
something.
there. I'm an artist, and most people in my life right now, they have no idea that I can illustrate. But if you go to my Etsy page at Heather French Henry Co., you'll see some of my prints that I have available online. And that is my hidden genius, but I don't get to do it very often. So I'm very selective about what I do in the studio.
Okay.
Mhm.
Favorite movie?
Sabrina, the
Oh, original.
The Harrison Ford
Oh,
version with Shirley
okay.
Armand. Oh no, she gets to go to Paris and like Shadow,
Okay.
Vogue. No, that definitely Sabrina.
If you had a dream dinner, can invite three people. I know this is a very common question, but what three people would be joining you for dinner? Dead or alive?
Oh, Dead or Alive. Oh, Eleanor Roosevelt would be one.
Hmm.
I still haven't finished that book, No Ordinary Time, but she would be pretty phenomenal. Hmm, who else? Oh, Edith Head. She designed a majority of Rosemary's wardrobe for her movies, and then Bob Mackie, another
Okay.
designer. I did a paper for him about him in college, and when I met him at Good Morning America as Miss America, he touched my cheek and he was like, "Oh, a short-haired Miss America," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I totally fangirled over him, and then he wound up sending us three of his original sketches that he did for Rosemary, because he did three
Oh,
of her
wow.
costumes later in her career. I was very excited.
Oh, that's so cool. And last question, favorite childhood TV show growing up?
Thundercats, yeah. That was like,
Okay.
that
All
was my
right.
jam.
Oh my gosh, you survived. We did it. We
I
did
love it. It's
it.
been such a pleasure. Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh, what
gosh.
didn't we cover?
I
But I'm sure
know.
we could probably still talk for
Tons.
hours. Yeah,
I'm
and
sure tons.
you didn't get to meet Lily, but Lily is laying on the couch. That's my
Oh,
dog. She's my Princess Liliana, and she's probably rolling her eyes at me right now, going, "Really?"
another interview. Another interview. Well, I cannot wait to come out there and see this museum. I'm coming. I'm coming in April. Is that right? That's when
You can come.
reopen.
So April 1st through November. The summer months are really great because there are a lot of festivals, but you just let us know when you want to come. But for those of you out there that are interested, go to rosemaryclooney.org, and you can find out all kinds of information about the Rosemary Clooney House, or you can follow me at Heather French Henry on Instagram or Facebook, all the socials.
Yes.
Certainly. Yeah.
And what's
Feel
your
free to give
you
me a
have a
follow.
website too?
I do, heatherfrenchhenry.com.
And is that where we could find your jewelry and your
You can,
charms?
yeah, you can find links to everything on heatherfrenchhenry.com. Or if you're just an Etsy person, that's what you want to do, you can go to Etsy and go to Heather French Henry Co. and you'll find out all of my products.
Well, I am your new fan. I adore you.
Ah, you're
I
not a
just
fan, you're a
do.
friend.
What?
You're a friend, not a
Oh, yes.
fan.
Thank you. Did you all hear that? Hi, Miss America. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. And thank you for being my first. I don't get to say
No,
that. I don't get to say that much anymore at my age, but you're
that
my
is
first.
true. That is true. But I'm so glad you're doing this and good luck on your journey. I'm so glad you're going to have Jeff on to talk about his book
Yes.
on thin ice because what a tremendous asset he is, not only to your all's community there, but nationally. And he's been speaking at colleges and
Yes.
universities and on media and just what a story he has. So really
Yeah, I
happy
can't
that
wait. I'm not a reader, so it's going to be interesting
his
to
book is an
do.
incredible read and it's
It is.
fast. It is like listening to him talk. So he has really creatively figured out how to write a book as if you're listening to him talk. So it's not incredibly difficult and it's very engaging and his stories are fascinating.
I
Like you
can't
just sit
wait.
there with your mouth open going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that." Like, what?
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to him. My guests are just I'm just going to keep on. I'm going to keep on asking. I'm
You
going to keep
should.
on
All they can
asking.
do is say no.
That's my thought. And I want to. I hope that they can think about, back when they asked someone for help and they were given help. That's where I need them to go. My biggest ask will be the person I really want on my podcast is Youngblood. He's a new singer, so I'm gonna every
Sure.
episode I'm gonna say, "Hey, Youngblood."
I can't believe you want. He was just at Derby this past year.
I do have tickets to go see him in Columbus next year, so I will be in the pit at Youngblood, jamming
Wait till I tell my girls.
jamming to Youngblood. Yes. So
Very nice.
thank you a million.
Thank you, Molly. Well,
And
good luck to you. Much success. Mwah.
thank you. Have a
Take
great one.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.